All right, here we have the full version. What's gonna happen is I pre-recorded the introduction of this on live on Instagram, and what's gonna happen is the camera's gonna tilt the other way. So I'm gonna try to play around with it so you guys can get the rest of that video up until this point. But till then, what I'll do is I'll edit it out, and then you'll see me wrap this up towards the end. So if you want to fast forward it towards the end, go ahead and see how this all ends up. See you in a bit. All right, we're gonna do some light gray stuff with this because I don't feel like coloring in full color today. And this is way too big for watercolor, so I'm not gonna use watercolor on this either. What I am gonna do is I refilled up all of my Copics. Well, just a small set, these right here. All right, so I got the cool grays, warm grays, the tonal, and the neutrals right here. All right, so we got that set. We're gonna mess around with these two pieces a little bit. Little here, little there, that way diversify is what I like to say. It's diversify. And we'll just kind of mix around with the tonal values in here. So let's start off with the number 2, a cool gray number 2. And if any of you are brand new to watching me, thank you for popping in. I'm gonna bring in the light a little bit closer because it is crazy with shadows. There we go. See, so I just filled these bad boys up so they are nice and juicy. And normally when you throw in those flats, you don't have to be too correct with the with staying within the lines. Well, of course, stay within the lines, but you don't have to get too crazy with trying to make it perfect in the beginning. So if you're learning how to color with markers, just look what I'm doing. It's very simple. Just kind of throw it all in there. Don't freak out. They're alcohol-based markers if you're using Copics. They are great to use. So you can get your Copics over at Otaku Fuel if you wish. Check them out. If you see that they're overly priced, then check somewhere else. You know, as long as you get them, that's all that matters, right? All right, so what I'm doing here is just I'm wrapping up all the base tone, and I use the water-based, rather a waterproof ink, which is the Copic brand. All right, so I already flattened out Cheetara. I'm gonna give her talons and her hair a different tonal value. Color this up in here. Doing the simple stuff right now, guys. I'm going to get to the action in a second, if you get to stay long enough to watch. And I'll get her lips going with some nice little glare there. And her talons are all up like that, because this kind of mimics the yellow oranginess. So I'm going to get in here, just kind of break up the monotony over here, have those highlights in there. Whatever highlights I don't do, I'll use a Jelly Roll pen. Jelly Roll or a Uniball. That's the preference of certain artists nowadays. I haven't tried the Uniball yet, so we shall try it one day. All right, so that's all set. So now I'm just throwing in these secondary tones in here just to show the shadows where they're gonna be. When you're ever working on shadows, always, mental rule of thumb, guys, always do the simple stuff first where you know the shadows are gonna be. Absolutely know where the shadows are gonna be, and then you can start, like right here, I know, okay, it's under the lips, so it's gonna be there. You know, it makes your job so much more easier when you know the simple stuff, you know, get that stuff out of the way. And then you can work on the rest of it. You know, and then you can just slowly figure out where the rest of the shadows are gonna be. So that's a quick tip. Like right here is the side of her head, so I know there's gonna be a lot of shadow work around here. So I'm gonna just get in here. Just let that milkiness, that Copic milk, just There you go. See that? Let the Copic milk just get into that paper. Soak it in. And then right there, just let it all seep in. Because I already know that all of this stuff is going to be shadow work. What? Don't worry about streaks if you do streaks, because it's alcohol based. You can always fix that later. It's not important. There we go. See that? Boom. So now you see it's starting to take life. Now, I was using a W3 for that. We're going to go a little darker just to add contrast. And by adding contrast, skadoosh, we're going to do a W5. And we're just going to get right in the middle of it, man. Just go boom. Boom. Look at that. Check it out. Wow. It's like a cat fighting a snake. There we go. See that? Now with that, we'll blend in. I know some of y'all just come in for my blending techniques. It's like, your art sucks, man, but your freaking blending's freaking amazing, man. I'm like, all right, cool. Calm down. There it is. Bam! Let that Copic milk just drain. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Give it a second. Remember those markers you used to get in the cereal? Where you can write something and then you use the other marker to decode it? That's exactly what's happening here. Well, not really, but it's somewhat like it. Now I'm going back to the W5 over here to make sure that I darken up the areas that I need to over here. I just preloaded the 5. I think it's like super wet. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's like glistening with so much Copic milk that I have to take some out and just like drench it on here. I kind of overloaded this one a bit. So I'm gonna just take some of that milk out, just fill this up, boom, boom, right over her cheetah patches. And maybe we can actually do some cheetah patches with the Copic. I won't do that just yet because I still have to blend that up there. So I'll keep my mind on the blending. And then we rock that. All right. So I'm gonna use a 4. I'm gonna take it down a notch. I'll use a 4. Because I feel that the 5 is a little too premature. And just like a doctor, I just call out my scalpel number. It's like, give me a scalpel number or whatever. Yes, doctor. There we go. Boom. And now we're gonna blend. Let's zoom in right here a little bit. Blend it. See that? And then you just leave the little highlights and just wisp it away. When you're trying to mix, just quick little wisp. All this stuff has to do with pressure control. You understand? And just like with a pencil, we'll do that. Today, for anybody not watching me on Patreon, I am coming back with a full vengeance. I'm gonna be doing some how-to videos today, and I'm gonna get them ready for posting. If not today, it'll be definitely tomorrow, because remember, I still have to edit these videos and I have to freaking get them uploaded to YouTube, you know, and that takes time. It's not like I have a great up connection. I think I can only upload 11 megabytes at a time, which sucks. So I'm looking into upgrading my account so I can start getting more upload speeds. More upload speeds means what? More videos. Yeah. There we go. See that? Starting to come to life. So today I'll do some tutorial videos. I haven't figured out what I'm going to be doing tutorial videos. Maybe you guys can help me out. What kind of tutorial videos would you guys like to see? I will be doing tutorial videos later in whether it be this month or next month for, you know, my regular YouTube channel. So feel free to chime in and say you want to see, you know, hands, arms, legs, clothing, whatever you want. Just, I'm trying to just get the stuff that people are more interested in getting, so they can actually start practicing, because that's kind of the whole point, right? And all my videos I will definitely preface by saying how to go about doing the sketch before, you know, utilizing the video for what you need it for, because a lot of y'all don't seem to understand that when you're learning how to illustrate, you gotta master that sketch. You know, it's okay that you practice lighting and everything, but if you ain't mastering that sketch, you're just gonna have a tougher time understanding the process. And that's what I'm trying to get, you know, people to understand. So at least when I die one day, I will feel like I've accomplished something. You don't have to be a masterful artist to teach. You just have to A, have the confidence, and B, the knowledge. Or, you know, vice versa. There we go. Is comic layout too much? No, comic layout is perfect. I'll talk about comic layout, composition, anything that has to do with artwork. Just because I have a cartoon-esque illustrative style doesn't mean I don't know the realism side of it. It's just I choose to draw in that cartoon fashion because I enjoy it more. For me, it's more pleasing and more fun to look at. Not saying that the people who illustrate the more realistic stuff isn't fun to look at. It's just, this is my taste. You understand? So there's nothing wrong with that. I'm gonna use a W0. Since this is super light, I wanna dissipate that marker out a bit more. Break all of this stuff down, and then that needs to be broken down with a harder marker, so I'm going to use a W3 and comb it on out. There we go. It's like brushing the hair. Just brush, 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 brush. Get in there and brush it. See that? I love doing hair. It's just so awesome. It's just taking that shape and just rounding out those levels. And just getting that nice flow in there. It's pretty much like shading with a pencil. Super fun. All right, so that's been blended out. I think I can blend it out over here a little bit more. Just let that soak. Let it all soak in into the white areas and just get all of that nice and blend it in. That way it blends just enough where I can have streaks to make it look like hair. I won't need this marker anymore, so I'll pop that sucker away. Do you recommend beginners using Copics? At any stage you can use these markers, okay? The cool thing is, what I would recommend is to buy the gray type markers, right? And that's going to help you out because you're going to learn about tonal values, and that's very important. One is tonal value, and another is tonal value with pencils, okay? Because that teaches you pressure control, okay? And then with this, you can see the tonal value change. So, because when you look at an amateur's artwork, it tends to be A, heavy-handed because they don't understand the pressure control of the pencil, and B, their shadow work is all over the place because they're too eager to jump in and just add shadows everywhere. Because they think, oh, well, if I add shadow, it's just going to look awesome, then I can sell it. You know, people, especially the young artists nowadays, they're so eager to sell that they're not even worrying about their artwork yet. You understand? I'm like, you're not even ready to really put your artwork for sale, but you're so eager to do it that, you know, you're missing the boat on the important part, which is you being entertained by yourself doing the process and just being happy that you're getting something done right. You know, and that's the whole point. So I will guarantee you anything that you're not always happy with your pieces, because if you are, you're lying, because I'm never happy with my stuff. So I work hard at it to make it better. So if anybody ever says, oh man, I love my stuff and I'm putting it out there and I'm great already, good luck with that. Because sooner or later you'll be put in your place real quick. All right, so we got that. I'll blend that with the 2. All right, then we'll get a little bit of edge in here. So now I'm just kind of building on what I have already, just a little bit, because I'm using a W4, so it is kind of dark for her talons, but I'm playing off of the line art that I've already preset, and then I'm gonna smooth it all out, so it's gonna look nice and blend it in, and I get into here. And if I wanted to, I can keep adding so much contrast that it starts to become more and more realistic. You know, I'll do that one day with a piece that I'll develop for it, which I can do it with this, but I just don't feel like it right now. That's another thing about artists, is like, you know, it's a mental thing. It's like, I just don't feel like it. It's not laziness, it's just like, not right now.
No, Mother, I don't want to go.
Just split it up. And then I'll split this up in here. A little shadow work in there. All right, so you see how that's starting to formulate? You meant nibs. Oh. Let me see, you had wrote some, the nibs are expensive. Okay, because you said the mind is expensive, and that one kind of threw me for a loop, so I wasn't sure if you miswrote it. Yeah, no, the nibs, I think you get a 3-pack for like $7 or $8. You can check them. You can go to right here. I'm brain farting all morning. The Otaku Fuel. Remember, use SANART as promo code, SANART, and go to Otaku Fuel. OtakuFuel.com. Free shipping on 35,000 above. I like to announce the free shipping on 35 because it's kind of like Amazon. You know, you just get your art equipment at a dirt cheap price, and then you add the code, and next thing you know, voila. You are within the rest of the people enjoying your art journey. Voila. All right, so yes, I am self-taught in the sense that I did not go to a school for this. You can go to school for it. I'm not saying you don't have to. If money's an issue, then yeah, I mean, you have to be self-taught. So for me, money was an issue. You know, I did when I was younger, I wanted to go to the Joe Kubert Art School. I think it was in New Jersey. I think it still is. And but we were moving to Florida, so instead I went to Full Sail in '98, and I did that thing for a while. Man, I gotta get a new nib for this one. This is a W2. Yeah, this one's giving me issues. A little sharp there, a little soft here. Bring that up in here. There we go. Nice. So now her talons are looking nice. Oh, Jimmy says, how do you know if you're ready to start doing commissions? That's a very good question, and I'm gonna give you a very good answer right after these messages. Now, the way you know is you're confident enough. If you're already confident enough to take on any challenge, like right now, somebody says, draw this, draw that. Maybe if I've never drawn maybe a horse or a cow or a dinosaur, I'm gonna attempt it, you know? And when you know you're confident enough to attempt it and then use reference as well, you're already there. You know, you're ready to tackle anything. But if you're always second guessing yourself, you're not ready. You know, you're just not ready. So if you feel that you're still second guessing yourself, that's how you know you're not ready. Because I read an article a while back when like Image Comics was a big thing back in the 90s, and Jeff Matsuda was in the article. And he said he submitted his artwork to Extreme Studios and he felt he was ready. So I always had that in my head. I'm like, how do you know when you're ready? You know, and I thought I was ready back then. I sucked back then so hard. And I started to submit my stuff, and I would get rejection letters, you know. And for me, I was like, oh, it's cool. They sent me a rejection letter. So that for me was something. At least they saw my stuff. Even when I went to Disney, when I moved down here, I submitted all of my original. I sent packets of my original artwork to Disney. Like, kid you not, like at least 75 pieces I mailed off to Disney. And it took like about a month and a half later, I got all of my artwork back, and they said, never send off your original artwork. And they sent me this nice letter saying that I wasn't ready. And I took the letter and I framed it. You know, I don't have it around me right now, but it's framed in a box somewhere. And I just hung it up. I was like, this is too cool. You know, Disney got to see my stuff. So, and I got to, you know, go to MGM and talk to Disney artists and stuff like that at the time when it was still open. And they kept telling me, you gotta, you know, try to draw animals and try to do this and try to do that. And I was like, all right, cool. I mean, I wasn't into animals. So I decided to do comic books instead. I was like, well, I like comics, you know, so I started kind of aiming for Marvel and DC. And that was like late 90s. So whenever you're ready to do commission work, all you have to do is have the confidence. And that's it. Because I was talking about Jeff Matsuda, kind of veered off for a second. And I always wanted to know when I was ready for it, you know. And I thought I was ready, but I wasn't. That's what I wanted to say. So that's a 2. Let me get a 3. Man, I really start blending with these things after a while. Got the 3 in here. See, it's light enough because it acts like watercolor, and I love just going between them, just like starting to blend them out. And you can spend hours, you know, doing this stuff, just getting that value going. Jimmy, you might want to rephrase that. I have no idea what language that is. Alright, so I'm gonna jump in here, gonna go with 3. And what happens is I've blended it so much that I blended out, tongue tied. I blended off the edge of the marker, and then now is where you have to start going back. If I zoom in, you start seeing that I'm throwing in the edges back in. So it's kind of like you're doing it in Photoshop where you're using the lasso. Now you're just messing with me. But it's kind of like using the lasso, and then you select the area, you use the radial gradient tool, and then you throw them the gradient. I missed the radial gradient tool. I wish they would do that in Procreate. They do have the lasso tool for anybody that knows the digital apps for art, for drawing and painting. They do have the tools for Medibang paint. But I'm not a big fan of using Medibang paint. Although it's freaking awesome. You know, I did kind of get used to it, but then it was like, I really enjoy Procreate more. Oh. I'm doing live right now. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. This is the wife stepping in for a second. All right, so there it is. See how all crispy and juicy. All right, I'll see you later. And all of this gets in there like that. Get that talent out. So now I'm just adding in those crisp lines right there, those cuts. And hopefully it blends in nicely. If not, I have to go back in with a different marker. So you see, I'm just cutting in right now. So it's pretty much like after you do the blend, and I'll do it in her face right now, I'll just blend all the gray, and then these cuts are gonna start becoming more apparent. So let's see, I'll use the W1. My best app is Procreate. That's the one I swear by. I do all my painting, all my coloring, and now with the new update, forget it. They kicked it up a notch. I do wish somebody would do a storyboarding app. That would be amazing. There was a guy doing a storyboarding app for Kickstarter, but my man wanted like, damn, I think it was like $25,000 to get it going. And even for an app, I was like, damn, that's a lot of money. But he had a beautiful design for a storyboard app. It was amazing. And the guy never saw it through, man, so it kind of sucked. But yeah, a storyboarding app would be dopeness. Yeah, I have Clip Studio. I got it with my Wacom. I bought one of those little mini bamboo Wacoms because my big Intuos died, or rather they weren't updating it anymore, so that was a good use of money. And so I got one of those little mini bamboo ones. But I've been using the damn pencil for so long that I'm like, great. I just don't feel like using the bamboo. But I have it there as backup just in case. Sometimes I get side work that I absolutely need to use a laptop for. Because my main computer already died. The hard drive just completely gave up. I was trying to upgrade it. Apple was like, sorry, you need a new computer. No. But luckily enough, I was with my apps and my iOS devices, so I tend to work well that way. I get by. Let me get in here with just a little bit on her lip. Just a skosh. Just a nibble. Just a nibble. Okay. There it is. And then I'll go in with the number. I'll go in with the number 2. I tend to skip a number. If I use a 4, I'll go with a 2 to blend it. That's not always the case, but it's a good rule of thumb to remember. And I'll go in with a 1 to like really lighten it. There we go. See that? And that gives that nice soft. So I got the 2, 3, and 4. Anybody's looking to start Copics, definitely get the cool markers to start off. It's just a fun thing. Get the cool markers. Get the pack of, I think, 8. It's up on Otaku, and use my code. You can save cash. And then get the refills for them as well. You'll thank me later. And then after you get the refills, you'll be able to mess around. And I laid this out with the number 2. So I'm going back in with the number 2 because now I get to actually go a little bit slower and blend what I've already laid out. And then you start seeing the whole thing kick some butt. What is this? Like the frame that you surround and the, oh, you like the frames that I surrounded in. Yeah, I use the oh man, I use the Pentel brush here to do that. Okay, I'm getting the 1 minute and 50-second mark from Instagram. That means it's time to go. So sorry, I've got to leave. I've got to go. That song will be out on iTunes next Tuesday, so. So next time y'all see this piece, it'll be up in my it's gonna be up in the shop, and it's also gonna be up in Instagram. Yes, Copics are expensive, but remember, you don't have to buy every single one of them. You just have to buy what you need. And the rest you can blend with color pencils, you can use watercolors. Be creative and have fun with them. And if you're gonna invest money, you're not only investing in the equipment, you're also investing in yourself. So keep that in mind, all right? If you believe in what you're doing, invest money in it. If not, then you can buy the cheap stuff and then complain more about it later because it's cheap. So, but if it's a hobby, yeah, I agree. It's not something you should be picking up if you're trying to do it as a hobby. But then again, a lot of hobbyists up on YouTube purchase them. So I mean, but they don't buy like the entire sets. They just purchase what they need. But just keep that in mind. Okay, so if you fast forward it towards the end, after about an hour, we're gonna wrap this up right now with all the cool gray markers. So we're gonna do this. The side view, or rather because we were watching in vertical mode, it's not gonna be like that with other videos. That was kind of a rare occasion, and I just want to make sure that you guys understand that all the videos are not gonna look like that. So I am going to finish this up with the gray. Not so much is left over. Just tightening up a little bit of the hair and her skin tone. And we're gonna add a C3 here just to get a nice little gray tone in there. And I go a little fast just to pop it, to smooth it out rather. And I'll go in back with the 2, and I'll just keep whitening it out. Widening. That's a hard word to say real fast. So you see? So now it just softens up. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing. This is a C2. And I'm going to go back to the C3. And I'll just be popping off on the markers like that. Just to add a little bit of variation in there. I'm going to go to the C4 to see how dark I can go in here, because I'm gonna make this a little bit more darker, and we're gonna have to go in with like a C5 to get that out a little bit more. There we go. There we go. All right. So with that done, I'm gonna use the C5 in here. That way we can get all of my gray out. Actually, I like that darker gray popping out. It just softens up the black. There we go. And you can utilize any marker you want, any color, if you're doing borders or if you're doing anything in this nature. That way you can just add a little variety to break it up a little bit, you know. Like that, just whisk, you gotta whisk it. There we go. And this way you get used to, when you're using markers or brushes to use it for techniques, just practice it on a sheet of paper, on a scrap piece of paper. That way you don't have to attempt it on an actual piece. Just have fun with it. There we go. So very simple. And I'll go with a C5 on the shoulder, just a hair. Like that, just to break it up, and then I'm gonna use a C3. So I went from a C5 to a C3 just to break it down on the edges. That, and then I'll go with the C2 since it's the lighter version of it. I'll finish the breakdown process on the edges over here. There we go. So that way that edge stays nice and dark. There we go. Okay, so just C4 right over here. Now jump back to the C2 to blend it all out. Just blend it all out to the bottom here. There we go. Because before, when I laid it out, it was just quick marker tones, nothing too crazy. So now I'm just softening up all of those marker sketches, because you can see all the little texture in there from the marker. Earlier I was just bouncing around trying to get all the like the flesh tone thrown in. And now I'm just taking my time, just fixing it, softening it out, letting the alcohol just completely seep in, and then just engulf the image. So we know that this is going to be shadow. As we were talking about earlier, just throwing those shadow spots where you know exactly where they're going to be. That way you're done with that. Because all the hard work is pretty much done for you. And then you can just take your time adding those tones. Because I threw in the marker in there, the black lines in there. So it kind of gives you an idea as to where the shadows are going to be. And I'll just increase her lip out there. So it's a simple piece, but it's a piece where you can make it all come together with just, you know, little techniques like this. So you throw down your base tone, then you throw down your secondary tone, which is the shadow, and then you go back to the same base tone and go back in and just slightly shadow it again, just to save yourself, to make sure that everything looks good. And then you can go in with a darker shadow, like right here. I based it with the number 2. I used the number 2 again after the base dries, because it goes on it just goes on just a hair darker, like maybe 1 or 2% more darker. And like I'll show you right now. And it's just that the lighting is coming more over here, so she's gonna have a little depth from the bridge of her nose over here, like that. See how it's dark now, but it's gonna dry light. Just come in here to the talons of her eyes. Just work that out like that. See, it's starting to dry light. And then now you can really see the bridge of her nose. Coming in this way. There we go. Then you top off the top here. And then if I need to leave it like that, then I leave it like that. Because I don't really want to add too many dark spots around her face. I'm using a C3. That's the basis is a C2. So a C3 just gives me a hair darker than what I want. And I'm just letting the paper absorb a lot of the marker tone. That way I can get that nice rich tone in there. And now I'll go with a C2 and blend this right in. Just going slow enough where it dissipates all of the edge of that. There we go. And then I cross the brush strokes together. Because by crossing the brush strokes, you get that watercolor technique where it just kind of patches up like a layer, and then you get that nice layered feel. And it's slight, but you can see it. Like here, there's still a little bit of, because this is from earlier. That's a number 2 that I used. So I can get in here, just darken up that talon just a little bit more. So I'm utilizing the marker as a guide. That black thickness here, I utilize it as a guide and just kind of use that for my shadows. And I'll just add a little bit more of that number 2 on top of the number 2, because it dried out in a way where I know I can layer just a little more, and the eye can get to see just a little bit out of it. Not too much, but just enough. And that's the number 3 that I laid out. I'm just gonna blend that together. Come in here. Come in here. Just kind of blend all that together. It'll dry up nicely. So technically the face is all set. And I'll just slightly break up this number 3 right here on her lips. And then this was light enough that I can actually utilize a number 1 or a 0. I'm going to use a C0 because I feel that the 1 is not going to be enough. And here what I use is to blend it to blend any of those little bits and pieces. And it's gonna break it up and lighten it up a little bit, and that's what I want. I just break up enough where it lightens it. There we go. Alright, that's it. That's pretty much it for her face. It'll dry up in a second. She'll be all set. And I'll go on to the hands and fix a little bit of the hair, which isn't much. For those who don't know, these little bands, the darker gray, as you can see, this is the blunt end or the chisel tip, and then this is the brush end. So I like to work with brush, and so I try to keep everything in a quick format for myself this way. All right, so that's done. We're just gonna rock the hand, and we can wrap this bad boy up and call it a day and post it up on YouTube, and which is where you're seeing it right now. And that's it. So let's get the number 2, and I'm gonna cut it dead center right through here. And then this way, I'll fix that. That's gonna lighten up anyway, so I don't probably won't need to fix it. A little fly. I don't know how in the world it got in here, but it got in here. There we go. I just pressurized a little bit of the marker onto the paper. Let that soak in very well. A little bit on her chin, just to kind of break it up. All right, and then we'll throw in the number 3. I don't think we have to go too dark with her hands. So just enough that I can just do the edges. Like that. And like that. And down here. And that's pretty much it. And then I'll utilize the number 2 and blend it all in. Just wham. All like that. And that's it. That's all she wrote. You don't need to go too crazy in there. Now for the dark area, we're just going with the number 5 and just get that rest darkened in. There we go. And just come in here with the 5. And then the 5 again on the edge. And a little bit on her cheek area here. And then we're just gonna round this about this way. That way the edge of her hair has a little shadow coming off. Just a little bit. So when you're doing your own pieces, you can actually start seeing these little techniques that I'm doing and utilize it for whatever you're doing. And just know that, hey, you know, you can get away with it, because that's the whole point. You practice your craft just to see what you can or cannot get away with. And she needs a little bit more oomph in her brow area. So I'm just gonna get in there just a skosh. And there we go. Like that. And then I'll use the number 2 to soften it. There we go. It just takes away all the sharp edges of it. There we go. All right. And then number 5, if you want to get super anal and do her nose inside. All right, that looks good. So everything is all set. Cheetara is ready to rock and roll. And I'm trying to think if there's anything I would like to put on the sides. I know I'm going to hammer that up in a second. Check out this set over here, already preset. Always have your markers preset. Just a quick tip. I'll be giving these quick tips normally in the beginning. Have your chart, which you can get at Otaku Fuel, right here, the promo code SandArt. So hit up otakufuel.com, download one of these bad boys in PDF, print it out, print out 1 or 2. I like to print them out on the paper that I'm going to normally be using it. So I printed it out on a cardstock. This is a Georgia Pacific cardstock, in which you can pick up at Walmart or Sam's Club in bulk. Okay. And Sam's Club, you get like an extra 150 on top of the 150 that you would normally get from Walmart. So, and it's a very efficiently priced paper. So utilize that to get your paper flow going for the month, the year, or whether you're going to use it as a hobby, and then utilize it just for what you need it for. And for the wife, I just bend it over. Not the wife. I bend the paper over, and I'm sorry about that. And I utilize that for the cards that I give her for anniversaries and stuff like that. So, so that's how I use this cardstock paper. It's really meant for crafts. And so, all right. So now we're gonna get here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I keep them nice and patterned. That way it's easy for me to choose what tonal value I want in there. Okay. So I'm gonna come in here. I use the number 3. Just get back in there. And then just use it to cut. There was a couple of areas I needed to feel like I needed a cut in there. The little sharp edges. Then just blend off the rest. That's pretty much it. There's nothing else to really hammer out over here. That's it. And that's all I wanted to do. Now I can go in there with like the 4 and just continue that leopard momentum of her spots with her hair. Like that. That way you have a little bit of sparseness and everything doesn't have to look fully dark. And they'll lighten up. Like that. So now the leopard hair goes out. And I'll just probably throw in some light wisps in here. I'll use a 1. And I'll just use the chisel area just to kind of illustrate that in there. And just at this point, you know, just be very confident. If you know what you're going for, then be confident in what you're doing. So now here I'm leveling up little by little with the chisel tip. And I just use the broader end. Like that. And little by little I just keep leveling up. So this is a number 3. And now I'm going to use the brush. Just because I get to split it up a little bit. Just do this like that. So now it looks like there's hair coming from behind her head out. And now I'm gonna go with these W4, the brush, and just play with the strands of hair going out this way. There we go. And that's it. So it just adds an extra layer of effect to it. And that's pretty much it. That just adds to it. So then we're done with the piece. These will be up in the shop. I'll get in here with her eyes and wrap this up with a W1. And that'll be nice and easy right here. Pretty much it. We're all done with this bad boy. This check wrote itself. I don't know what that means. But I think I've been done. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you stayed this long, there it is. The final look. And of course, Otaku Fuel, sand art. Make sure you take advantage of the free shipping on $35 and above. And sand art as promo code. Thanks for watching, guys. Be good, be safe, and keep sketching.